Good afternoon and welcome to ATN Society Watch. This is a program where we ventilate societal issues, give them aggregate attention with a view to perfect solutions that will benefit humanity. Well, first the headlines. In Rivers State, woman arrested for allegedly killing co-tenant with stone. In Akwa Ibom State, police parade 13-year-old people for threatening classmates with gun. In female circumcision, Nigeria must lead fights with 19.9 million affected, minister. And sodomy hotelier admits sex routine, denies ritual intention. Remember, we're open for advert placements, news and events coverage, personality, society and political interviews, product service promotion and core measures. Remember to connect with us on all our ATN socials on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network.
Live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what
I have fought a very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. Well, here with me in the studio to dive into this report in critical discourses on Nose Ifeanyi Chukwu Ehigwese. He's a scriptwriter, an OAP, and a social analyst. I'm so glad to have you join us.
Thank you very much. It's my honor to be here.
You look amazing, by the way.
Thank you. You too.
Well, let's go. Let's go right into the reports. In Rivers State, woman arrested for allegedly killing co-tenant with stone. Now, tragedy struck in the railway access of Elekahia, Port Harcourt, as an elderly man identified as Augustine lost his life following an altercation with a female neighbor. The incident, which escalated from an accusation over feces behind the compound, resulted in the on the head with a stone during the confrontation. Eyewitness accounts indicated Augustine, who worked in the Transamadi area, was resting outside his apartment when his neighbor accused him of defecating behind the house. Offended by the allegation, he denied any involvement, pointing out that there were children found who could have been responsible. The disagreement quickly escalated into a physical altercation, culminating in the fatal blow. A resident, Oyedi Kachi, who witnessed the altercation, described how the suspect first threw sand at Augustine, leading to a fight. In the heat of the scuffle, she allegedly picked up a stone and struck him on the head. Despite attempts to get medical attention, 2 hospitals reportedly refused to attend to him. And by the time he was taken to a 3rd hospital, he was pronounced dead. The River State Police Command has confirmed the suspect's arrest, while she denied hitting Augustine with a stone, claiming that she was merely trying to defend herself from attack by the deceased children. Police devastating consequences of unchecked conflict in communal living spaces. It underscores the need for proper dispute resolution mechanisms, never leave tolerance, and intervention that prevents minor disagreements from spiraling into violence. As investigations continue, authorities must ensure justice prevails while also promoting awareness and handling conflicts peacefully to prevent further tragedies. This is a rather sad story. What are your thoughts on the story?
Well, it's rather sad and amusing at the same time. I'm just, you know, when you read the headlines, what came into my head was this Cain and Abel scenario with the stone and everything. But one of the things highlighted in your talk just now was when you spoke about the issues of conflict in communal living spaces. And this is something I feel like our country and our nation hasn't really put an eye into.
All right.
It's just whatever you want goes. Sometimes landlords violate basic human rights, tenant privacy and all these other things. There are many stories you hear, and these things they just go unchecked. So this happening, I'm sure in many other situations where things like this has happened, but this just got to the light and making about defense, self-defense, and hitting a neighbor with a stone till he died. To that point, it's such a tragic story. And since investigating
on how best you think conflict should be resolved, both in communal living and just, you know, in general, people living in society.
Yeah. Now, talking about general conflict resolution, I think this would have to be a personal journey of everyone, taking it as a point of duty to be able to control emotions and feelings, and to be able to express your emotions intelligently. Now, these are things that I mean, there are laws against this. And even in the estates, in the current day estates, there are laws not supporting violence and seeing how to resolve or prevent issues like this. But you see, it keeps happening. That's because that responsibility does not lie on the governing body of a particular place or even a nation or something. It has to do with the people's personal education, the people's personal awareness. Because you can give all the reasons why you should not end up in conflict. And when a person gets into the heat of a moment, you just...
So are you saying awareness, people are not well aware of methods of resolving conflicts?
That could be, but I don't think that's the problem.
Okay.
It is not just about being aware, it's being teachable or accepting the awareness.
Okay.
Because, you know, we know how Nigerians are. The thing is that Nigerians would always want to, like, be defensive, especially of their respect, their territory, their rights, and all these things. And sometimes, speaking of English, like we are doing, does not just cut it. Sometimes, so even we try to obey the laws. Sometimes your English and the other simple ways of conflict resolution wouldn't work, especially when the fault has already been created. So I think the solution to this is if preventive measures can be taken by which these conflicts can be stopped from happening. But another thing again, how much can a system do to avoid these conflicts? Because as far as humans are together, generally speaking, there would always be conflict. So I feel it's just about the people making personal decisions, and whichever body is in charge making moves to also see that people get this personal education so that they do not get to resort to violence.
Very well, thank you very much. You mentioned poor infrastructure as something that could have played a role as regards feces piling up in at the backyard of the compound where they reside, and you talked about Nigerians not being dove-like. I want to know your thoughts, because anyway, the angle I'm trying to come in from is when you talk about dove-like, it means that people are very angry. People are not necessarily, they are not backing down. It's kind of like a dog-eat-dog kind of situation.
For a particular sect.
For a particular sect. Well, for most Nigerians at this time, many people are similarly upset.
Yes.
The hardship, the stress, the weather, the power, it's just, a league of all the other things going on. Now, when this man came home from wherever it is he works, and he's there, and this fight has happened, what are your thoughts on landlords putting in the efforts, or owners of property, or people living in a place? Because first of all, feces can be safe for humans to live with. Your kitchen might be open, flies might be on there, and they are in your food. The man said there are even children in the compound, and there's feces piling up in the backyard. What are your thoughts as regards what can be done to salvage some of this, this problems with environmental-led solutions, as it were, other than let it stay there, it's from me, it's not from me, hygienically and environmentally? What processes do you think landlords and owners of apartments and tenants inclusive should take to help keep the environment more tidy, to help avert issues of this magnitude?
Okay, I think it's really beautiful that you specified the different parties involved when it comes to living spaces. That's the landlord, tenants, and also the bodies governing the whole place and all. Yeah, you see, I'll speak from a general point of view, first of all. Seeing how to manage situations like this, and in the area of poor infrastructure, is that many of the landlords in our time always love to cut costs, especially when it comes to the quality standard of living, or the quality standard of how a house or a landlord should set up his apartment or his living space for other tenants. Now, I feel if there are laws regulating this for landlords, okay, before your apartment can be established as one functioning in a geographical area, if there are checks that are governed, that are, what's the word now, that are reviewed by the government or by the governing bodies concerning, okay, your sewage management, this is the standard. If this is not the standard, I'm sorry, you can't be a landlord, or you can't have apartments. Okay, this is the living space, this is the space that.
But we have those kind of people that come to collect money when they are building houses all the time now.
But do they do their job? No, that's the problem. Oh, we even have that. I had no idea that we did. You see, that's the problem. We have that, and they are not doing their specific jobs. And if we do, I didn't even really know they do check all these things. Because if they do, that is one way to avert many problems, especially in giving people quality living. You see, if these things are checked, one, okay, let's say in the subject of this particular person we just went through now, if proper investigations and proper standards were passed relating to sewage per se, that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
And that's a life spared. You see, many other things.
But given the level of poverty,
given
the level of poverty, and given the classism, as it's where the Nigeria currently operates in, I did read the reports, think about like in last year when someone mentioned that we have lost the middle class. That the class in Nigeria is you're either rich or you're poor. It's a we've kind of lost the middle class, according to that report. Now, when you look at it, the materials for or the infrastructure needed to build these places. Now, I want to take you a little bit slightly away from our discourse, so I will, create a nice balance with this. The apartment
we can't deny it, even though we try to be intelligent about it. It's just a fact. Because many times, these landlords, okay, let's look at it from their point of view as well.
Right.
You said the minimum wage is 70,000. A landlord, possibly, are they applied?
We have laws.
But are they applied?
Well, we have laws that apply. Sometimes it's delayed, but we do have laws.
Okay, we have laws that apply, but the way I see it, if we have laws and some are applied and some are not, I think that makes the other ones who are applied irrelevant.
All laws are applied.
In Nigeria.
Judiciary is just delayed.
Oh my goodness.
All laws are applied.
All laws are applied.
But certain times, you know, there's just delay in judgment.
Delay in judgment. Okay.
Delay in judgment is not a crime. It doesn't mean we don't have laws.
Yeah, delay in judgment. It can be a crime because there could be damages on the lives of the people involved.
Even in civilized countries, oftentimes people stay for long awaiting trial.
But not as much as in Nigeria.
Not as much as in Nigeria.
Definitely.
And you need to know that Nigeria is still a developing economy as it were. So
okay, I'll give you that.
We are not going to get 100%. Let's go straight right into our next story. I really appreciate your insight on that one. Police parade 13-year-old people for threatening classmates with gun. Akwa Ibom State has recorded a disturbing incident where the police command paraded 13-year-old Samuel Sunday, a primary school pupil, for bringing a locally made pistol to school and using it to threaten his classmates. The case, which has raised alarm over child access to firearms, has also led to the arrest of the pupil's father, from whose bedroom the gun was allegedly taken. According to the command spokesperson, DSP Tim Fonjon, the minor had been in possession of the weapon since November of 2024, but was only apprehended on January 30th, 2025, after intelligence reports led officers to intervene. The police are now investigating the circumstances that enable the child to access a firearm, a scenario that exposes deeper issues of parental negligence, security lapses, and the growing influence of violence in society. This incident sheds light on the broader challenges of illegal firearms circulation and the potential dangers of their accessibility to minors. It raises urgent questions. How did a firearm remain in a household where a child could easily take possession of it? Which influences must have led the tech to feel safe in schools, but this case underscores a concern about violence in learning.
I've never heard of this ever.
We've heard lots of reports from, you know, Western countries.
Yeah,
where
Western countries.
many kids have, you know, taken firearms to school.
Yeah.
Some people have actually even used it on their classmates.
Definitely,
So this, when you say this is new, it's pretty new. That's why I need to know your thoughts as regards how a 13-year-old has access to a weapon from November to January 30th before.
And wasn't noticed.
And wasn't noticed.
Okay. Now, this is definitely a household problem. And it has to do, and from investigations which was said, it was the father that had sole ownership of this gun.
Right.
So now, being in, being in a household,
Civilians to all own firearms.
definitely in Nigeria, it's not.
Why do you think that? Why do you think it's not?
More problems than we already have. I mean, look at us already without the legalization of firearms. Look at the problems. Look at the issues going on with people killings here and there, having illegal weapons. And now, just imagine if that is legalized in Nigeria, especially people who have anger issues. Imagine, okay, let's give a scenario in Lagos. A conductor forgetting to give you your change or leaving, and as it's just proving, you just cite him from, and that is a very, very
Is it 2 months just now? The case with the EFCC people that went into a man's house and busted in because he was armed. They came at night without a warrant. High rate of kidnap. If people were armed, people might have been able to defend themselves because the kidnappers are coming brandishing weapons also. Yeah. Right. So do you think that, you know, if people had access to guns at home, it would be, you know, aura for aura?
Yeah, aura for aura. I love that. Like aura for aura. Definitely, I feel I'm a bit conflicted on this because I'm looking at the two sides of the coin in relation to this kind of issue.
Okay.
Now, there is where it's very, very needed due to the insecurity. You hear of kidnap cases of young ladies being put into buses and they zoom off to unknown places. You hear all these kind of things. In those kind of cases, a gun is really needed. It is exponentially needed. But you also see about the other side of the story, where this can also go south.
All right.
If this is legalized as well, you can also have case scenarios of ladies or random people shooting others, and when they're being tried for it, they give excuses like, oh, they thought it was like an insecure situation they were in. I mean,
And
you've heard
they'll
cases
put
like
self-defense.
Exactly. So a lot of self-defense is like, if somebody doesn't like somebody can just shoot anybody in Nigeria. I mean, you can walk up to somebody and slap the person if you don't like the person.
Let's talk about parental negligence. I want us
yeah.
to go into the discourse as regards. I mean, there's so much going on with parents and children right now. A man has a gun in his wardrobe, and the gun has left the wardrobe since November, and nobody, like, now for context, I don't know about many families, but when I was growing up and going to school,
Back then, parents did it, but it wasn't a popular.
the children of those days grow up better than children of these days.
Well,
By your opinion. By your opinion.
Oh my God, this is going to be a lot for me to break down. Yes and no,
Okay.
because some of our parents grew up as people who were lacking love, so the expression of love was difficult for some of them.
Okay.
Now, luckily, I myself grew up in a good house. My mom coming from a very loving side, my dad the same as well. But I would see parents where the thing about hugging your child or kissing your child on the head or something, or you sitting down, or even saying those words like "I love you," it was cringe to them. They would be like, how does your parents do that with you? But it also created a sense of great responsibility. These young people, not more, because we are seeing the whole situations out there.
Right. So now, parents of this boy, for example, and parents that are seemingly, like you said, not getting it right, how do they go back to the drawing board?
Well, simple. I don't want to give any general standing based on my personal beliefs and faith, but if I'm permitted to say, I think the normal standard of the Bible about how to raise children, about loving. The Bible talks about loving your child in a certain way. People don't, especially parents, don't say that. The Bible also talks about respecting your children. It says,
The Bible talks about not sparing the rod.
Exactly. So you see, there is a balance of it. It gives you the different dimensions. Although I've just been able to recall 3, it's giving different dimensions of how you can raise a child. It's talking about not sparing the rod, lest the child goes bad or gets spoiled.
Right.
He also talks about, I'm trying to remember the particular quotation, but it has to do with something about respecting your children, about parents being respectful to their children. He also talks about loving your child. And I know there's a particular verse where God, in relation to expressing his love, the kind of love he has for people, talking about a mother with her child, and he expresses it in such a deep way. He said, if a mother can't forget her child that she's suckling, but even though a mother does, I won't forget. Now he's saying that he's talking about the deep love and affection a mother has for a child, and even as the child is growing. If you read them through Proverbs, about where he talks about the young son who was now still expresses the care that the mother had for him. If you open it and get the deep revelation.
But for the Nigeria is a very religious country. We have lots of practices. Somebody will sleep and tell you, "Oh, I'm a traditionalist," and the person will go, "I belong to this group and that group." Now, for the sake of centrality and generality, and because not everybody has access to a Bible.
Yeah, definitely true.
Right. How do you think parents and educators, because this happened in school, can mitigate things like this from happening? Because I usually see on this show, children spend their times in places,
Yeah.
at home, in school, and in whatever religious place of worship.
Yeah.
How do we mitigate this, looking at those 3 core areas where children spend their time?
Okay, yeah. I think parents and educators should learn to understand the child and get to understand not every child is the same. I've seen this happen in many scenarios where people, parents, educators say, why can't you be like this or that child? And they make it as a point of failure for the other child for not being similar to this other child.
So do you think that could have been a reason that would have made this guy to pick up a gun?
That's
to go
not
to
the reason.
school?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
But this is the general thing.
Because when you say parents understand your child, I feel that when you compare this day's upbringing and, like I rightly said, the yesteryears, the way many other people grew up,
Yeah.
you've rightly pointed out that, you know, they were not groomed with love. And I asked you, in a case of balance, do you think they grew up better than children growing up nowadays that have enough love? Right? Those people grew up in train the child, don't spare the rod and spoil the child. They grew up in the rod, and the rod, I mean the actual rod, right?
Yeah.
Which they seemingly, these days, if you spank a child, is abuse.
Yeah. Which I don't understand, but let's continue.
You know, if you spank a child, I've been abused. My
Yeah.
parents abused me.
Yeah.
I see many people online talking about the abuse they suffered from their parents. I mean, lots of those sort of videos, right? Do you think that if we go back to a drop board of what our values are, you know, what are the morality we stood for, or we are meant to be standing for, would avert cases of this nature?
Yes, definitely it will. Because I think one of the issues of society starts from the home. It always starts from the home. Most of the time. Yes, there are times where people can pick up bad behaviors and bad traits outside the home. But a parent who is observant would notice. If you can understand your child to a certain level, that when there is a change or a shift in behavior and mannerisms,
Right.
you would be able to tell. And I think a child having a gun, a possession of a gun, that would have made his mannerisms a bit more careful. Have a mother or father who observes their child
Observant,
properly
yeah.
would see something is wrong. He's hiding something, and would be able to, you know, take this away from him and instruct him not to do so. But definitely, not definitely per se, but as the case may be, it seems they were not care. How would I put it? They were not giving attention to the details of their child.
Right.
To see that a child has a lethal weapon, and he has had it for 2 months, right? Almost 2 months, and you didn't notice anything
It's
in the way
rather
he's.
appalling.
It's very, very appalling.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for your insight on the report. Now, Nigeria has been urged to take the lead in the global fight against female genital mutilation, as Minister of Women Affairs Iman Suleiman Ibrahim raised alarm over the staggering number of 19.9 million women and girls affected in the country. Speaking on the International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation, she disclosed that Nigeria has the 3rd highest number of FGM cases globally, with the 2018 National Demographic and Health Survey (NDHS) revealing a prevalent rate of 20% amongst women aged 15 to 49. The figures are even more alarming in the Southeast, 35%, Southwest 30%, and South-South 24% regions, where the practice remains deeply entrenched. Suleiman Ibrahim described FGM as a fundamental breach of human dignity, a direct assault on the total well-being of women and girls, and a significant impediment to sustainable development. She emphasized that the harmful practice, which has been recognized as discriminatory by the Nigerian government since 2002, must be eradicated through a combination of legal enforcement, community-based interventions, and cultural reorientation. As part of efforts to accelerate the campaign, an advocacy walk to the National Assembly was held to engage lawmakers on strengthening legal measures against FGM. Discussions were also initiated with community leaders, religious figures, and policymakers to push for widespread abandonment of the practice. Dr. Miriam Ismaila Keniro, a permanent secretary and consultant medical doctor, explained that female genital mutilation is a partial or total removal of external genital organs for non-medical reasons, often carried out as a misguided attempt to preserve chastity. She warned about its severe health risks, including excessive bleeding, infections, childbirth complications, and a long-term psychological trauma. Beyond this physical and emotional toll, FGM serves as a tool of discrimination, depriving women and girls of autonomy over their own bodies. Now, the minister reaffirmed President Bola Tinubu's administration's commitment to enforcing legal frameworks and fostering behavioral shifts to ensure a future where no Nigerian girl suffers this violation. Female circumcision has been on for so long.
Yeah.
Now, Nigeria is still third in practice. Third highest in the world, 19.9 million. What are your thoughts on this story?
Well, where do I even begin? It's a terrible practice, and seeing that our nation is still leading, and definitely leading the wrong thing about female genital mutilation is just terrible. And as you mentioned earlier, based on our prior conversation, you said Nigeria is a very religious country, and sometimes these religious ideologies tend to make some people who may have little understanding do the wrong things. Now, this, the minister giving the disadvantages of the situation, that's the medical disadvantages, right. There were no advantages there. They were all disadvantages.
The advantage was for chastity.
Chastity.
Yes, so, you know, for women to stick to abstinence. I want to know your thoughts as regards why always women? The control of women's bodies. Why do you think women are constantly being subjugated? What is the idea behind the constant subjugation of women? As a man, because, well, the rightly said the world is patriarchal. Men rule the world. What are your thoughts when you look at it, you know, actively with this female subjugation? These laws were passed.
I can't tell you why men do this or subjugate women, because I myself, I don't. I see women as people as well, and not property, not second-class citizens, not just one of the trinkets you have as a man. So see this happening in society time and time again, where women are subjugated in different things when it comes to finances, when it comes to even household matters, when it comes to, like you said, the body as well. It's just something that a woman can't replace the role of a father in a child's life. Same.
Women, many women have raised
definitely
white, stable men.
Yeah, they have raised. No, I didn't say they can't produce stable men.
Okay.
But there are challenges in doing that.
There are challenges in everything.
In everything, yes.
Okay, let me say something real quick. I grew up with my dad.
Yeah.
There were challenges growing up with my dad.
Definitely.
Because my mom was not there to do what a mom is supposed to do. So I think it's vice versa for everybody. The same way a man cannot play, a woman cannot fully play the role of the man in a child's life. That's the same way a man cannot fully play the role of. That's why we have the idea was for parents.
Yeah.
One person, one man, and one woman
yeah.
to procreate, to have a child. And when the child comes, they are both expected to raise the child part. Yeah. Today, McDonald, managing director and CEO of Leuven Empire Hotel and Suites, has been arrested and paraded by Zone 2 Police Command for allegedly sodomizing a 16-year-old secondary school boy. While denying ritualistic involvement, McDonald admitted to having sex with the boy twice. The victim's father, Edose Christian, reported the incident after his son recounted being lured to the hotel with 4 other teenagers and subsequently sodomized, with threats of death if they spoke out. The victim described being taken to McDonald's residence where he was forced into sexual acts, then given Lucozade Boost and 5,000 naira. Despite an initial report to the Sherry Oshun Police Division, McDonald allegedly evaded cooperation, prompting the father to escalate the case to Zone 2 Command. A medical examination confirmed the victim's account, which was further corroborated by a witness present at the hotel. A friend of the victim corroborated the account, stating that McDonald had engaged in similar acts with the victim and had also attempted to assault him, which he resisted. The friend provided recorded phone conversations telling his parents he started having some psychological breakdown. this is a continuing story. We took a report of it yesterday when the man was arrested. We did take a report of when the story broke. So this is like a continuation of the series of this event, which I'm sure is going to have more breakthroughs as it goes. Initially, the man did not evaded arrest. He refused to come in, and when he eventually came in, you know, he was able to lose, which is why the IPO rather is being detained because he removed certain documents from the case file. Now, this man is singing like a bird. Yesterday, I did see the reports on the video where he was saying, oh, he's swearing on his children, named his sons, went ahead to say lots of, you know, not so nice things to say on national television, and how he did have coitus with the boy twice. This man has children. He has sons. He was swearing on their lives that it was not. He doesn't have any ritualistic intention. You know, when you look at it, why would a father want to sodomize another person's son? Why do you think? Well, how do you get to this point where a father would pick on another person's son, a 16-year-old? Sodomize him twice and give him locals and 5,000.
Insanity. Is it? Insanity. That's what I would call it. Because you're a father, you have children, so we can't say sexual pleasure is the problem here.
Oh, he's married. He has a wife.
Definitely, that's what I'm saying. We can't say that's the problem. This is just borderline insanity, not borderline, full-blown insanity. About doing that to a child and giving the child 5,000 naira and a local boost for him to do what with it exactly.
The lack of continuity in cases like this, lack of information, makes people to think, okay, I can do this and get out of it. Do you think that has paved the way for people to be more emboldened to pick on little boys like this and assault them?
Okay, first of all, do people warm ever? I'm sorry, I couldn't take that off my mind. I'm just imagining somebody warming. I'm like, what? You see, that's insanity to us. That's part of the insanity. Okay, now to the very serious part of this. Wow. Yes, there has been no follow-up cases, or not that we have heard of, about how these how consequences are being met to these people who have violated the laws, violated the state as well. And we haven't seen reports on this. And I think, yes,